Hey guys, Welsknight here, bringing you another brand new episode of Minecraft Building for Dummies. And in today's episode, we are going to be covering the concept of detail. Once again, I am joined by my friend BC from Alloy 7, so let's go ahead and get this episode underway. Hello, BC.
What's up, Welsknight? How are you?
Pretty good, yourself?
Doing pretty well. We find ourselves locked in a wooden room with a glass ceiling for another episode of Noob Lessons, starring Wellscraft, BC, and Wellscraft. Good Lord, Welsknight, BC, and Minecraft is what I was attempting to say before the English language left me.
This is what happens when children misbehave. They get locked in a room with someone who has no idea what they're doing.
Yep, when you build diamond castles.
This is what happens.
I feel like an old grandmother playing Minecraft with a mouse and keyboard. Like, I'm very slowly and methodically laying blocks because I'm not used to the strafing that I would typically do with an analog stick.
What are the world?
I don't know if it's been apparent on all the other videos we've shot, but I'm very slowly like, place a brick. It's like the old lady that's so short driving her car that she's looking through the steering wheel. Yeah, that's me with PC Minecraft. But I'm getting better because I have someone like you to teach me how to do this stuff. Someone to show me the ropes.
Well, I'm flattered. And in this lesson, we're going to be talking about detail. And basically what detail is adding little things to add to the overall appearance of a structure, or in this case, a room. We're going to basically be doing interior design in this one, although the same is true of pretty much anything. You can do the same for exterior design, aka landscaping. Adding small details to structures, things like that. It's basically the little things that you add. And when you add all of those little things together, they add up to a big change, if that makes sense. So let's start off with some interior design stuff. We have essentially a box, and the floor and the walls are all the same texture. So let's change that first of all. Let's switch out the floors for something that looks a little bit better. Not really sure what we will use yet. What about, what do you think of spruce?
I think spruce is good.
I
think for this lighter color wood, you could also use sandstone if you wanted to.
You could, although our walls are all made of planks.
This is true, so it may clash in terms of textures.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to keep that in mind as well. So I'm thinking spruce wood makes a pretty good floor texture, and we would swap that out to hold on. All right, door is fixed.
Nice bit of contrast there too, so good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Next we can look at the ceiling. So what can we do here in the ceiling to maybe make that look a little bit better?
All right, now in the previous episodes, I've seen you use this trick using stairs to add levels of depth to fixtures like this. I'd be interested to see how you would pull that off in this particular case.
Well, it would be very simple. We would just take some stairs and put some upside down stairs around that, giving us a much more natural transition. Maybe. There we go.
There you go.
A much more gradual transition to the skylight.
Yes.
So it looks
very well done.
Something. Come on, stair. Place. It's arguing with me, my friend. It's arguing.
Indeed.
But there, that already looks a lot better.
Absolutely.
So now we've got all this other space. We got walls. We've got basically just blank walls, and we also have all this carpet space as well. And I think we need some light in here.
Agreed.
So what can we do to kind of fill up this room and add some light at the same time?
Well, for light purposes, we could cut out the walls and actually build some windows into our structure.
We could.
For color, we could add some plants. We could actually add some carpets. I don't know if this particular room would lend itself well to carpet unless you put it in the dead center here with kind of the spruce wood here on the exterior of that part. But I will default to your wisdom, sir.
Well, let's pretend for a moment that this is an interior room of a house. Say it's a room that doesn't border any outside walls. So let's pretend that windows are not an option.
Windows are not an option.
Because although windows are a great way to kind of fill up some space on the walls and also add some light, they're also a really easy way to do it. They're kind of the easy way out, if you will.
Roger that.
So we're going to be a little bit more creative than that. One thing you may not know is that you can hide light sources underneath carpet.
I did not know that.
So, if we were to take this space right here, grab, for example, some glowstone, and put that down.
Nice.
And then on top of that, plop a carpet. And we could even do some sort of kind of interesting carpet design if we felt so inclined. Let me find some carpet. Let's go maybe gray and green. I think those will lend to this build. We could do something like that.
Nice.
And that gives us not only a nice little centerpiece for the room that doesn't, kind of take up and make the room seem crowded per se, but it also lets us hide the light sources. Because let's be honest.
That's absolutely outstanding. I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yep, pretty much any transparent block, such as carpet, in other words, a block that doesn't fill up an entire block of space, pretty much any sort of block like that will allow at least some light through. Carpet actually lets all the light through.
That's excellent.
Next, what we could also look at doing is, since we were smart and made this room with walls that were too deep, we now have some open space over here as well. So what we could do there is maybe we could put in some stairs like this, and on top of that we could put some carpet to make a shelf, and we could put another carpet up there. Or we could even take this middle bit and do something like that.
Nice.
And then behind it, if we wanted to get real fancy, we could grab ourselves some bookshelves. And we could sneak those in back there.
Now, how will bookshelves, and I know this is just for the purposes of demonstrating detail, but how would those bookshelves show, or I guess for the purposes of this, we're pretending this is an interior structure inside the home. So, okay, roger that.
Exactly. So here we've got, it just kind of showing off some bookshelves. And the thing is, if you're doing your walls and stuff like this, and you put this stuff in, you can work around it. I mean, if we were trying to do the other side of the, here, why don't we come outside for a minute? Look at this amazingly detailed structure that we've built. It looks so good. Not really. But, if we had something like that coming through on the other side, into, say this was another room over here, we could work around it. We could cover it up with a painting, for example. And then you would never know that those bookshelves are there. But from the inside, we've got this nice kind of bookshelf texture. Speaking of paintings, paintings are a great way to add some space and, fill up a little bit of wall space. Sometimes they can be a bit tricky to place. You have to basically just keep placing them until the one you want. Exactly.
Yeah, I learned that with my diamond castle. I was trying to put an accent in my all glass throne room. And it was like I was going through the pictures. I think it took me about 20 or 30 pictures to get to the one that I wanted.
Yep.
Which was like God's hand coming down, creating Super Mario or something like it was funny. I was like, that's exactly what I was going for.
The other thing you can do, this is another very good trick, is item frames. You can do crazy things with item frames. So, for example, if we place an item frame there, and then we grab an anvil, if I can find an anvil. Oh, I'm just going to search for it. That's probably faster. There we go. And then we grab a torch. You can put the anvil in the item frame like that. Rotate it. And then you click on the block behind the picture frame, kind of in the little space off to the side. And it almost looks like you got a little torch holder.
That's outstanding. Now, how did you actually rotate the anvil?
You just right-click the item inside of it.
Nice.
So just right-click the item in a picture frame to rotate it.
That is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You really have this down, man.
I've learned a thing or two. Now, here's another sneaky trick. You can also, if you feel so inclined, take, let's actually use a different texture. Let's go with maybe, how would quartz look if we did a desk made of quartz? That might work. We could also look at doing something like this. See how it looks like a little, you got half doors?
Yeah.
And then on top of that whole thing, we could place some carpet. I'm just going to use this gray carpet since it's already in my inventory. It's like we got a little desk with some cabinets.
With some cabinets. Nice.
You can also do the same kind of a thing. Some doors work better for it than others. For example, the dark oak door, I think, actually works pretty well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, dark oak door is probably the best of them, in my opinion. But there's a lot of options. You can also look at doing beds. Beds are a good way to fill up space. There's basically, you're only limited by your creativity in Minecraft. So You can think of all sorts of clever ways to fill up space if you feel like taking the time to actually learn. So we can really also, cool. Chests. Every house you build needs some storage. So if you put a chest and a trap chest right next to each other, you can fill up some space that way. Then to kind of fill up some of the wall space behind those chests, maybe you label them with some item frames. And you say, this is my chest for leaves, and this is my chest for stone bricks.
Wow.
Just as an example.
Well done.
There's a lot of different options. I think a painting would go very well right here. That's an item frame. Let's grab a painting. I think a painting would go very well right there. One that shape. And then the last thing that you always can make use of to make things look better is plant features. So if we put an anvil here and a couple of leaves on top of it, it's like a potted plant.
Nice.
And you know what? I'm not really feeling this chest anymore. I think I've changed my mind about that chest. I think instead I want a plant there. So we're going to grab maybe a flower pot and a birch sapling, because it looks kind of like a little potted plant as well. We'll do something like that. And this room, there are still certainly improvements that we could make to the room, but I think you get the general idea.
Yeah, if you look at where we started with just basically a box to now you have a good amount of depth, a good amount of detail going back to kind of the namesakes of the videos that we're shooting. But you really added a personal touch to a space that would be very vanilla without this.
Absolutely. And that's the whole goal. There are, as I said, there are still improvements that could be made, but we've come a long way. And the idea here is to give you the idea of what we're talking about, which I think we've done. So I think we're good. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
No, I think that about covers it. I'd like to thank everybody that's taken time out of their busy lives to spend time with me and Wells here on the Noob Lessons / Building in Minecraft for Dummies series. Allow me to encourage you to check out Welsknight's channel if you are watching this on Alloy 7, and to subscribe to his channel because he makes excellent content and is really an all-around excellent dude. If you dug this video, be sure to share it with a friend. Each one teach one. And if you've not subscribed to Alloy 7, you need to get on your job and become a part of us building a greater and stronger gaming community. Turn it over to you, Wells, before we shut it down.
I think that's about all we have to say. So guys, once again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll definitely see you next time.
Later on.